So I just have this TV from a while ago. I got this iMac and like a lot of stuff. And with the G4 over there. Let's see. I have this old monitor from a gateway computer.
David.
Hmm?
Do you use your console TV that your dad shared on the?
Oh yeah, it's right over here.
Oh yeah. Oh nice.
Well, you got a Sony radio for it, and I also got an RCA radio here.
Hey, I've seen those Sony radios before. Yeah, they're nice.
All right, let me share this on the. Let me share this in the group.
I just recently fixed the picture because it was pretty jacked up a little while ago when I got this. It was $20. We got the whole thing and paid $5 for this remote because it was missing.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I think we're on the air. Cool. All right, so we're here, and now we can start with the official introductions with everybody, and we should probably start with we'll let the young pup go first, and the rest of us old timers can go after that. So, hey David, good to finally meet you virtually, David.
Good to meet you too.
I've been trying to keep up with the group on Facebook, and I noticed you came to the meeting in Pompano, and I think you at least showed off a couple Macs the first time you came down.
Yeah, I showed off a couple of Macs, and then the second time I had a few more portables, like my K-Pro 10 and my compact portable 1. So I'm getting more into collecting the portables now, and less into like the Macs, because I like the portables a lot better, just for. No, the design I think is pretty nice.
And you live in South Florida, or you're in Central Florida?
I'm in South Florida.
Okay, cool. And so for anybody who might be watching this later who maybe doesn't know, you're relatively young. How old are you? Like you're a teenager,
yeah,
right?
I'm 14.
Okay, so you're 14 and you've gotten into retro collecting.
Yeah, I have a little shelf here full of my stuff. I have to clean this up.
And what like this made you say, hey, let me get interested in something that was invented before I was born?
If I'm being entirely honest, it's actually quite hard to remember. How did it start?
You were born like that.
I'm trying to remember. I started off with looking at some Macs. I think some Mac restoration at some point, and then I decided to go on Craigslist and look up, see if there was any Macs nearby, because really this all started when I was. I'm trying to remember. I think I was like 10 at that point, and I had seen a couple of the Mac classics, and I wanted to get one of those. But at that point, I didn't really think of looking anywhere, so we just never got one. But actually, just this summer, all these computers you see here. Well, I know you can't see them right now, but everything I got here, I got during the summer. So I got a ton of computers in the summer.
Wow!
But it started with it started off with the Macs. That's why I have 3 of them. I like them. But, I really got into some of the other monochrome computers. I just like them a lot better. I especially like the Commodore computers. I just need to get mine working. I don't have video cables for them.
Well, so let me ask you this. What was your first computer? Like when you first started using computers as a kid, what was it?
It was a Windows XP Dell Tower computer.
Okay.
I've seen a few. I don't exactly know how to point it out, but it's 2004, I think. Came with an LCD monitor, but I had it until.
No, so you were already on flat panel. So you actually skipped over the CRT era. Huh?
Well, only in the monitor area because all of our bedrooms had Sony Trinitrons. So
I'm trying to do some math here. If you're 14, we're in 2018. Subtract 14 from 18, so 2004 is when you were born. Mm-hmm. See how quickly I did that? So yeah, 2004 we had flat panels were coming out. They were definitely replacing the CRTs.
Yeah. I remember some of the first flat panels that I had in my IT shop, and they were horrible. The viewing angle narrow. Mm-hmm. The pitch on them was still pretty big compared to some of the nicer CRTs. We were going from like 26 and 28 dot pitch to like 30 and 32, and refresh rates were like 12 milliseconds, 15 milliseconds. It was gnarly.
Yeah. So your first retro systems you started collecting, David, were the Macs, like the Mac Classics?
Well, so I started off liking the Mac Classics, and then I got into some of I mostly started off with 90s computers actually, because with Windows 98 and all that, I had started off. I think it was a gateway computer, might have been, or maybe it was a Mac or a gateway, and so I had gotten this Mac. Now, what was it? I'm sorry. I had gotten a Mac, and I think that was the first one I got, because it's the first thing in my text messages of conversations with Craigslist people. So, but it was the first thing I started off with. I started off with a Mac Plus because it was the first thing I found, and it's been pretty good. It was fully working and still works very nicely, and so really happy to have it. But yeah, that was my first, the first computer in my collection, and I've gotten a lot since then.
Yeah. and your parents are supportive of this?
For the most part, yeah.
Yes, yeah. How much space are you taking up now with your collection?
Well, I've taken up a few shelves in the garage. I have to put a lot of my computers away because there's some in the living room, and I've got quite a few in my bedroom here. So,
give us a little peek of what you got that you can show us. And what would you consider to be your prized possession right now? What are you most happiest that you own at this moment?
That's really tough for me because this 2E, like right here, you might notice it's the original color, and that's because all this stuff right here, for the most part, has stayed the same since the owner got it in 1983. In the photos of this, now I'm just going to point this out. Let me see if I can put this to sleep for a second while I try and... This is my second, I would say my second most prized, but this is my 2E, and I got this a little while ago. Basically, the owner here, now what I'm thinking is, in the photos that this was in, this was on a big wooden desk, and that's how it was set up. And I was told that it was essentially like brand new. What happened was the owner was like an older lady, and she had no idea how to use the computer. She thought it was going to be a lot easier than it ended up being. So she just left it there on the same desk for 30 years in an air-conditioned place, and clearly it ended up working perfectly fine. This thing is almost completely perfect.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So that's why the door is still here and all that. That's why everything looks really nice on here. It's everything's pretty good except for this. This just kind of rusted.
Okay, that's probably from the humidity. And this was in South Florida. You got this? This was a local pickup?
Oh no, this was. I don't remember now. I don't remember where I got this from. I know it was eBay, but I don't remember what
That's a terrible problem. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been pretty good. It's like brand new. I noticed it doesn't have. Of course, it hasn't been powered on in like 30 years. It doesn't have any of the capacitor problems that these power supplies normally do. Which one was it? There was the. It's slipping my mind right now, but I know there was one that just burst into the smoke, but really didn't do all too much. Suppression capacitor. Yeah, it was one of the suppression capacitors. And then this is my second most prized. This was an iMac I actually found at a Goodwill after searching for hours at a swap shop to try and find a computer. So I really could have saved about 2 hours.
Yeah, those were really sexy when it first came out. That was like early to mid 90s?
Yeah.
Mid 90s?
1999 model. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
The first thing, when I got this at the Goodwill, what I did was I had already had an iMac D3, the original, the Bondi Blue version, and so that was my first one, but it was totally dead. So I decided to get this one since I found it at a Goodwill. It was complete, and it looks really nice. I actually decided this thing did not come with the ball, so I took one from my other computer, my other iMac, just because I felt since it wasn't working, I would do what I had to. So this is this is the early tray loading fruit color model. It's the grape one, and it looks really nice. It works really nice. When I first got this, I plugged it in just to make sure it was working to avoid the same incident as the last time. And what's kind of funny is that I'm guessing it wasn't powered on in quite a while, because when it started up, the hard drive just made this horrible noise. It was this really loud drill-like noise, and then it started working.
The head might have been parked, and it had to like really spin hard just to like unpark itself and get free spinning again or something.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. But this thing works very well. Let me see if I can. It's really nice. It came supplied with I know some of these came supplied with what's the game? What was it? Nanosword, I think it was. Nanosword.
So what browser is that using? I notice you have Google open. Oh. And what Mac OS is that? Like OS 9 on the last gen, or was it even older than that?
It's older than that. This is OS 8.6. Back of the refresh rate.
So yeah. So what's the actual browser? Because this is before Safari was invented. Was this actually Internet Explorer, or is it using Netscape or something else?
Well, this has everything installed. It has America Online. It's got Internet Explorer and Netscape, but they're all broken. They're just not compatible anymore.
Yeah, they're so old. Yeah, that's funny. There was a time when actually, Microsoft made an Internet Explorer browser for the Mac OS because there wasn't a native browser. Apple was not in the browser business yet. Yeah. I remember that. I remember seeing IE on Macs, which was just so weird.
Yeah.
That's really cool though. You got a neat collection, and so you're you've got some 8-bit stuff, right? You get some 2Es. You've got the early generation iMac. I don't even know how many bits those were. Those were Power PC, so those were probably 32-bit systems. Although I'm not really that sure.
This thing is a very one of the things I've never found very useful in these things was the really high resolution here, because it's just really hard.
1024 by 7. Yeah, that's VGA, baby. Super VGA. That is super VGA right there.
It's very good. It's really nice. I really enjoy this. It's good for playing CDs that I never really use otherwise.
Those are retro at this point too. CDs.
Yeah. In the 80s. See, I actually now I remember how I started with computers. Now it was actually this was the first thing I ever got. This is a pretty basic Sony Trinitron, but this was also pretty much new, and so I definitely this is where I started off. And I really appreciated the little monochrome CRT monitors and the Macintosh, line. And so when I saw a Macintosh Plus working locally, I decided to get it, and worked out pretty well. And then I started off.
Hey, David Laffanus is asking how to join. David, I put several links in the Florida Retro Club group. So there's a meeting invite.
Yeah, if you go, there was a link, and then it listed how to install the app, and then where to join.
Yeah, it should be there. Let me just try to copy and paste the link again.
Here's my Vic.
Is he trying to go in from a retro computer? I don't know if there's a Zoom client for Apple II yet.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't stay for too much longer.
Okay. Well,
my child, my daughter, and she needs to be bathed. Oh.
Okay. Well, let's put young David on hold, and let's get to Barracuda then. And since you got to go. So this is all, this is all kind of, we're just trying to this is a kind of a test call to get some of us Florida Retro Club members together. But since we got a few of us together, we figured we'd do a little introduction and show and tell. So Barracuda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And you're in the South Florida area.
It's I'm in Davie. It's west of Fort Lauderdale. And I'm actually very close to David here. He's in Weston.
Yeah, I used to live in Davie, right off of Orange, right by the turnpike there in Orange, where Orange and the turnpike kind of intersected right there. I used to live right out there. I'm from Miami originally, so I'm mostly South Floridian. And like what systems are you into? Like, what was your first computer, and what are you collecting now?
Well, I initially started. I got interested in the Commodore 64 computers probably not too long ago, maybe a year ago. I had never been into retro computers, or I was just a user of computers. I was never into computing in general. I was just a user. But let's see, how did I get interested? Through gaming, through retro gaming. I got the NES that I used to have an NES when I was younger, so I recently got one. Then I went and got the Atari, I got the Sega. So I started getting all the retro gaming consoles, and then I progressed into retro computing. I got the Commodore 64, Got an Amiga 1200, and what else? I got an Apple IIe. So I started just getting different brands, different computers. I'm not a huge fan of one in particular. I just like working on the hardware. You know, if it's broken, I try to fix them. So yeah, and my dad was into computers. He's the one that really got me into it. I mean, even like 5 or 7 years ago, he was collecting retro Macs, or like, let's see, what did he have? He had the Power Books, the old Power Books.
All
quite
a few of those.
Yeah, so he's the one that got me into it, really. But then I started collecting after I got interested in the retro gaming stuff. And I can show you a little bit of what I have. Here I have a pile of Commodore 64s that I've been fixing.
Holy crap! That's a
yeah.
pile.
Most of them are working. There's a couple that I need to get some seat kits and other kits. I have some. I have a SX64. Some Tandy.
Oh, you got a CoCo in there.
Atari, I think that's a 600.
Yeah. You got a couple of scopes back there.
Yeah, that too. I have an IBM. Well, this is just a case, but down here is the IBM PCXT.
Neat. 5150.
That's a 5160.
Yeah.
And this one here is, I took it apart, but it's a Sun Microsystems Ultra 60. It's a unique system.
Ah, neat. Was that a Spark workstation?
Then,
I've never seen one of those.
Back there in the corner, you can't see it, but I have a Silicon Graphics 02.
SGI.
Oh,
wow.
Very nice.
Just a pile of boxes there with random computer stuff. Apple IIgs.
Nice. I'm jealous. Got the gels. You got some next in the box.
A bunch of boxes for the 64s.
Go back to those Next for just a minute. Let us all see those, and just pause for a minute. We need to soak this in here. You got some Next systems in the box. This was. It's
a monochrome display.
Okay.
It's got a laser printer, and back here is the actual computer. And it's like I was saying earlier. It's the next computer. It's not considered the next cube, because much later the next cube came out, which was a lot faster than this one.
Okay. And this is the system that Steve Jobs made after Apple fired him, when he said, "Screw you guys, I'm going to make my own thing." Right? So, and I think there are some people who are still using it today in production. Right? I think
every Mac user, every modern Mac is essentially running Next. When Steve Jobs came back to Apple, one of the things he did was sell Next to Apple because the OS 9 was, they started with System 1 through System 7, OS 8, and OS 9, and they were just almost like Windows. By the time Windows 98 got there, it was this patched onto this, patched onto this, patched onto this. So they needed a proper modern operating system, which Steve had in Next, which is essentially, Unix under the hood. And the first OS 10 was essentially the next generation of, it was basically Next with a Mac OS GUI on it. And that's pretty much how it's been since. And actually they were running it on the PowerPC chips back then. The first 5 iterations of Mac OS were the PowerPC version, but hidden, they were still developing the Intel version, because when he originally developed it, it was on PCs using Intel chips. So they had the Intel code all along. And when they made the conversion back in 2006, 2007, somewhere around there, we switched over to the Intel chips, and it's gone on ever since. So your modern Mac OS is essentially what Next turned into.
One interesting story about the Next computer is that I think the first web server was running on a Next cube.
Wow, neat. So would you consider those are to have a Next now is kind of a holy grail retro item to have in your collection?
It is. I mean, I definitely am proud of having one. I just haven't had time to play with it. This one in particular needs a hard drive, so I need to find a solution. I know there's SCSI to SD card available, so I need to get one of those and just find the time to play with it. I don't plan on keeping this one. Just because I don't have the space, but I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna play with it a lot, and when the time comes, I'm gonna part with it.
And have you been down to some of the Pompano meetings and you met Stuart and David and Javier and everybody? Okay, and they're probably the 2 times I haven't been there.
The last 2 I've been.
Sorry, I'm sorry I missed meeting you. Yeah. Excellent. Nice collection.
Before I go, I have a couple more things here.
And what would you say is your favorite piece?
Well, the NES computers, obviously, and let's see, the IBM PCXT, because I used to use one in high school. And, I mean, not in high school, in middle school. When I first came to the U.S., I was put in a computer class, and they had the XTs, and we used a couple of programs that I actually got for this computer, and I was playing with them not too long ago, and it just made me feel good. I mean, the nostalgia felt good, and I really like those. I have a bunch more stuff. I mean, maybe.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you were able to jump on, because for a while here I was sitting here getting really lonely.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye. I have to go pick my daughter, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Well, hopefully I get to see you in person in the next club meeting soon.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
Hey, the other David has joined us, and John Lowry, who's not in Florida or a member of the Florida Retro Club, but jumped in anyways. But John happens to work for Apple, so he gave us a little bit of Apple insider knowledge there.
Guys.
So, and hey, David.
Almost didn't recognize you without the beard.
Sorry, it's been such a horrible day today at work. I was drinking a margarita, looking at Facebook, and I was like, shoot, there's a meeting going on. I should probably...
Just what you need at the end of a tough day, huh?
Yeah, it's been a tough day. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube. That's why I jumped on.
And I have not met you yet, Mark, either. So Mark and I were talking earlier. He's in Tampa, so he's probably would be closest to the Central Florida Club meeting whenever the next one of those is going to happen. But he did say he's willing to drive just about anywhere. So you want to tell us your little mini life story and like what you collect now and all that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah. Mark Yorko, grew up in Tampa. My family's originally from Indiana, and I lived up there for a while. Realized I couldn't do cold, so I decided to move back to Florida. But I lived in Orlando for 13 years, and just moved back to Tampa 5 years ago. First family computer was a Commodore 64 back in 1983, red bin style. Our original 1541 drive quickly died and was replaced by an Indus GT, which actually turned out to be a really great drive. Still works great to this day. And so that I have the complete system that we had when I was a kid when my dad first bought it. And that's my prized possession as well. And I also have another 64C that I got as a gift, birthday present when I turned 12. Had a 1541 drive with that and some printers. Still have that. It works sort of. It's got some wonky SID issues that I haven't figured out yet. And then recently, in the last couple of years, I acquired some Amiga computers. I've always wanted Amigas. I've always been fascinated with them. And so I just patiently waited for the deals to come at the right price at the right time. Found it was easier and more affordable to get them from the UK. And the fact that there was a lot more software released in the UK also helped. And being that, other than power supply, which I built an ATX power supply into an Amiga power supply, so that was not an issue. And then for PAL video, the composite video actually works on most modern TVs, and I worked on my Samsung without a problem. But I bought a SCART to HDMI converter and was using that for a while, and then got into the InDivision scalers that are built into the, they latch onto the Amiga board, and played around with a few other video options. And I got a 1200 as well. I'm pretty happy with. That's my main retro gaming machine these days, is my 1200. I love the Amiga software library. And added a compact flash for a hard drive, and have a classic Workbench installed and have fun with that. And then I've got a lot of old PC stuff. So 386, 46, Pentium, all the way up to Pentium 4s, just dozens of boards and chips and RAM. I keep a few assembled at all times just to mess around. One operating system of each era on the Windows and DOS side, and nothing older than a 386, but that's fine. I disable cache and tricks like that to get some of the older stuff to run. And then I have a
you had to downgrade the computer.
You can turn a 386 to an XT just by disabling some cache.
Wow.
And I also really love my MIDI sound module. So I've got an MT32, an SC88 from Roland, and then I've got a Yamaha MU90, which I was commenting earlier that I really love the sound of the MU90. Punchier, the basses are deeper. The sounds to me just sound more organic. But and also most people don't know it has pretty good MT32 or CM32 emulation.
I found Yamaha had some of the best piano sounds, like a grand acoustic grand piano.
Yeah, they have some very natural piano sounds that are really good. That we were talking about earlier about you had the Korg wavetable data board for the Sound Blaster. I have a Korg M1, and that M1 piano is actually the iconic dance music piano of
like the electric version of it.
It's just called Grand Piano preset on the M1.
Okay.
So it sounds like a synthesized piano, but for whatever reason, that's the sound people latched onto when they were making dance music in the '90s. And but the M1 keyboard itself has some really amazing ethereal, spaced out sounds that are great. But so sound modules, I love playing music on those on my old DOS games, and fiddle around with some Raspberry Pi RetroPie stuff. I was showing off my new Raspberry Pi case.
I want one.
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
It is.
All the ports are completely relocated, and all are accessible through various compartments, some of which are snug. There's your SD card access.
Wow.
There's your other Ethernet ports and USB port access. And then this is so gimmicky. I haven't figured out what it's useful for yet. Maybe extra SD cards, but the old Genesis volume slider opens up this storage spring-loaded door.
That's neat.
But really well done. $30 on Amazon.
Wow.
I'm happy with it.
It's good.
So I like fiddling around with that stuff. And then I was showing. This is my studio/retro corner over there.
Mm-hmm.
Still keep DJ turntables set up. I've got analog and digital on the DJ stuff. I'm playing my guitars every day. I haven't recorded music in years, but I still keep it all ready to go. And then you can see it's just kind of a mess over there of 64 stuff, Amigas, and everything I'm just trying to sort out and get fully functional again. I've got some video scalers that I've been playing around with, trying to find that magical, affordable scalar combination. I know you could just get, an OSSC and be done with it, but some of these old production studio video scalers work quite well. Some of them don't, so I've kind of been playing around with those whenever I can get them cheap on Amazon or eBay.
Very cool.
So that's me.
Set up.
Yeah.
What is your what's your prize collection right now?
My prizes are my original family's 64 setup, and then my second one is my Amiga 1200. I got that for a steal. It was just one of those where whoever was bidding on it against me snoozed. think I paid $130 for it. So, and then, you know, $30-$40 shipping for the UK, not too bad. And then I pimped it out. It's got a division scaler in it. It's got the AC.
Wow, that alone is worth that price.
Yeah, apparently they haven't been made. And I mean, they had plenty last summer, and then he stopped making them.
Yeah.
And then I got in on the new Division ECS pre-release. I don't know when they're going to ship. He says sometime this year, before next year. So I'm looking forward to putting that Division in my 500 as well. I really like it. It's the only gripe I have about the Division scalers, and maybe this will be fixed in the next revision, is whenever there's mode changes, they take a little while. And so if you're watching a demo or doing something where there's a mode change, you think your monitor's not syncing, and then all of a sudden it's back. So it's like a half a second to a second for a mode change, which to me is slow. But
yeah, especially if you're running a demo and it's transitioning from one scene to another, you're gonna miss part of that, right?
So other than that, been pretty happy with it, and so that's my stuff. I'm an IT nerd since, I don't know, 1998, I guess, is when I got into IT and made a career out of it. It's so by trade, and then which is funny because I always thought I wanted to be a restaurateur until I got into IT.
But they're not mutually exclusive. That can still happen.
It's not out of the question.
I still want to buy a food truck one of these days.
Yeah, have you been to any of the meetings? Have you been like to the Central Florida meetings?
I have not made it. There was one Central Florida meeting I saw after I joined, like right after I joined the club, and then I missed that one. But I made it to 2 South Florida meetings. I didn't make it to the last one, but I made it to the 2 prior to that, where I met David L. and Young David and Stewart.
Okay, so you've been down recently,
guys.
Okay.
Vince,
Stewart, Javier.
Yeah, good group of guys.
Jim, Big Jim.
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
He always brings something fun to the party.
Yeah. That's neat. You got a nice collection there, and when we were talking earlier, I dabbled in MIDI stuff in the '90s, and so I had used the Korg daughter board that kind of bolted onto the Sound Blaster card in my PC, and then the Sound Blaster had a little dongle that plugged into the 15-port joystick port, and you had your mini in and out DIN connectors. And I had a really crappy Casio keyboard, and so the keyboard itself didn't have good sounds, but I just used it as a MIDI input to play stuff on the Korg through my PC. So my PC was like my recording studio. And I was doing like 16-track recordings, and just, I'm not like musically trained, so I was just all playing by ear. But I recorded entire albums of my own crap music that I then recorded onto cassette tape, and was giving out cassettes of my crap and stuff like that. I was like, it was such a fun way to just entertain yourself, just playing with MIDI.
Over there, the MIDI stack, it's kind of hard to see because there's a surgery going on in front of it. But I have a studio DAT recorder in there, the box under the MIDI stack, and that was a $25 find on eBay that it still works great, and just need a little bit of TLC and it's all good. But yeah, those MIDI, daughter boards, a lot of times it was the same sound chips that they used in their like stage and production keyboards. And
yeah, I was really impressed with the quality of that thing. Yeah, the quality was better than anything I could produce out of it, put it that way. But playing MIDI files, I mean, that was the big thing before MP3 took off. We had, there was the what was the Amiga file?
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention I used to track mods back in the day.
Yeah, okay. So we had the mod files. That was like four channel stereo digital sequence type stuff, right? So yeah, I had a big collection of the mod files that you played on. Like I could even play them on Windows 3.1 and everything. But then when MIDI came out, you would just have these huge playlists of MIDI songs, and if you had a good MIDI output device, it sounded pretty damn good. So I was a huge collector of mods and MIDI music. I used to buy even like a CD of like 5,000 MIDI songs to play, and that you could just randomly play on your computer.
The files were so small because it was basically just instructions for the synths to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to track mods. I probably made 2 or 3 dozen in the 90s.
Wow.
Could still probably do it today, but I haven't made one since.
You should share that. You should listen to that, Mark.
Next meeting, I'll bring my mod set up.
Sounds good.
Cool. And who else have we not talked to yet that's here? We get to talk to young David. Now we can talk to middle-aged David.
You can call me the old David. I'll accept it.
I'm trying to be polite here.
Well, a couple of things. A couple of recent acquisition. One that I have made through a member of the club. I actually showed this machine at the last club meeting. Does anybody recognize this? For those of you in the team.
Is that I can't see it full screen.
It's a Franklin Ace 20.
Oh yeah, that's the good one too, right? The 1500.
The 2200. That's
2200
the one with like the
two drives,
the double disk drive. So this is basically an Apple II clone, but built basically like a PC desktop. You know, this is like a solid metal box here.
You have the original monitor too. That's outstanding.
It has like the matching monitor, which is a CGA color monitor. So this is basically an Apple IIe enhanced, and it comes with 2 floppy drives built in, an interesting detachable keyboard.
That looks like
wow, that's a keyboard. Fancy looking keyboard. That looks like a PC keyboard.
You know, special function keys. It's got the F keys, which are replacements for the open and close Apple keys.
Yeah, that's a great keyboard setup.
Yeah, it's actually very high quality. It's really well built, really well made. It's got a built-in fan in it. It's fully compatible with the Apple IIe. And
this is reminding me of something that happened. I'll explain it later.
Yeah, and it has so this one comes. So this is the top of the line. I bought this for a sweetheart prize from Doug Mandeville, who is one of the Florida Retro Computer Club members in the Orlando area. This was actually carried back from Orlando for me by Vince from the club, who happened to be at the that Florida Open Play, whatever it's called, up there.
Free Play Florida, Free Play USA, or
Free Play. So
yeah.
you brought this
Free Play
back
Florida.
for me, and I was very thankful. Now, obviously, this required a bit of a cleanup, but you know, it came with a monitor. This is a CGA color monitor. Inside, obviously, you've got the CGA card. It has a 512K RAM expansion. Works beautifully. The keyboard works flawlessly. Very happy. The only thing I'm looking for is the Frank.
You're breaking up us on a little bit, David.
Oh yeah, I can hear.
You're breaking up us on David L. You're breaking up on us.
Breaking on you guys?
Rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's probably my door being closed and cutting the Wi-Fi signal.
You gotta open up the door, let the Wi-Fi in. It can't breathe, man. Well, let the Wi-Fi in.
Those really thick wooden doors that doesn't like me. No, but you know, it's a good computer. Very happy with it. The only thing that I need is the Franklin DOS 2 discs images. One of the members of the Apple II enthusiast group on Facebook is gonna image those for me. And what's special about that DOS version is that it enables you to actually program all those function keys on the keyboard. It has a couple of extra, I think, a more enhanced form of BASIC and a few other features like that. But very happy with this computer. And then my latest acquisition, under the white.
It's under
this little.
It's a big. I smell a pet coming on. Boom!
So this one,
the big reveal,
is my very first Commodore PET 4032. So what's interesting about this?
Is that all in one? Like, is everything?
It's all in one. And look at the hood.
You can lift up the hood like an automobile,
and even with the little bar, like
it got a little kickstand holds it up.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so this is
Vince brought one of those to one of the first meetings I went to down south.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he brought the original version, which is the 2001 model that had the built-in tape player. So this one is a 4032. which is one of the next generations. And interestingly, this machine was upgraded with an 8032 board in it. So what that means is that this machine was originally a 32K 40 column monitor, so 32K of RAM, 40 column on the monitor, and they upgraded it with an 8032 board, which is still 32K of RAM, but enables you to do 80 characters or 80 columns on the monitor.
Okay.
And then what I thought was really cool is, you know, some of those computers come with a bit of a prison tattoo, and this one had one as well. Don't know if you guys can see what it says, but it's from
Massachusetts MIT Chemical Teaching Lab, Chemistry Teaching Lab.
It's from the MIT Chemistry Teaching Lab, which I thought was kind of cool.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I don't know how it got there. I think I bought this eventually from North Carolina or something like that. So it came in one piece. It works perfectly well. Now, interestingly, I was hoping to...
Yeah, it looks low mileage, no rust.
Yeah,
Windows still roll down.
Oh yeah, those are the plastic models, aren't they?
Yeah, this is not metal. This is a form of plastic here, but it's a really solid, really thick plastic.
Wow.
But it's all plastic indeed. Yeah.
That power supply is crazy, isn't it?
Is it a big honking capacitor or is it some kind of filter?
Yeah, take a look at that.
It's like a time bomb.
That looks like something the Ghostbusters would use. It's like, dude, get your proton pack out and don't cross the streams. That's crazy.
It works flawlessly. Very happy with it. What else was I going to say? So the only thing I was hoping to use with it was my my C2N dataset, my old Commodore dataset, and I had found this little, tape deck that you can load into the regular tape player and connect that via audio cable to your PC and then you play WAV files to tape drive things that you actually put an audio tape in there. Did not work at all.
Yep.
Either what I bought was really too crappy and it's just low quality stuff, or I think maybe the tape player is just too sensitive and just not good quality enough. So what I've got on the way coming from the UK for this little guy here is known as the PET SD Plus, which is basically an IEEE drive emulator. So this thing will think that it's connected to an original IEEE drive, which is what it originally required. And obviously, like any kind of SD-based emulator, you can load disk images on it, PRGs, all that stuff. And we'll try to do something with it soon. So that's about it. But very happy. Those are the two latest acquisitions here. I always wanted one of guys because it's a nice all-in-one, nice.
Yeah.
This is probably like late 70s, early 80s, I think, more or less. So it's definitely the age,
that's cool.
When you type on the keys, it's still very clunky.
Yeah, it's kind of like the keys on my VIC.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can...
feels very dated. Yeah, actually, you see, David, where the PET keys come from, right? This is like
the
VIC 20 keys came from the PET.
It kept that style of those kind of flat top keys that it had. This is a very design. I was telling David Rosa, that is young David, that I was looking at some of those the VIC 20 that he has. That happens to have that original PET keyboard. It's a very desirable feature. And those, if you've got a regular VIC 20, I don't know, maybe you can get it for $50-$60. I don't know. But put a PET keyboard on it, and it reaches $150 to $200. Just the style of the keyboard.
But they'll catch you when they find out, with the F keys.
Yeah. But that's that's a very desirable keyboard to have, and so the other thing that I've got on the way, and I'm hoping that it gets here in one piece because that's always a bit of a gamble, is another Commodore PET, but it's a very, very sexy model. It's the 8296. I don't know if you guys know what the 8296 looks like. It's a very curvy model.
Okay.
Yes,
the 8296. Yeah.
It's a very let's just say it's a beautiful example of industrial design from the.
So do we need to have some of the models that you put on the Facebook group, the girls in the negligee next to this? So no.
Purely from an industrial design point of view, it's like.
Okay.
Now, although as you can see,
okay. So we just pulled it up.
If anything, that's what those things are telling you. Commodores are chick magnets.
The thing is curvy.
An IBM.
The ladies like the Commodores.
That's the 8296.
Yeah.
That was one I've been looking for a while, but I just can't find one.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. I mean, this one comes from all the way from IC, Nova Scotia.
Oh my God!
It stayed in Nova Scotia for 7 days after the person allegedly mailed it. Apparently, due to a combination of weather condition and rotating strikes by Canadian Post, all of which meaning that it stayed in icy condition for 7 days, and it just made it to New York today, according to the tracking information.
It needed to be held for quarantine, right? So it can. That's something else.
With this, and we'll see where it goes.
That's cool. I've missed you guys these past couple of meetings. I've had things going on with life and family and other things, so I haven't been able to make it down. But I've been trying to.
An amazing breakfast. A lot of food. I mean, this is turning into a buffet style.
Maybe we could get potluck one day.
Yeah, see, honestly, if you had just said this was a free food event and didn't even mention retro innovations or retro computings, I would have came down for food. You had me at food.
You had the kind of those heating trays that you see in the lines, and
it looked like a proper convention breakfast.
Yeah, it was better than a lot of convention breakfast. Some people brought some really exceptional pieces. The last time we had it, one of our new member, Matthias, from Key Biscayne, brought an absolutely superb Lisa computer, decked out.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
It's one of the first one some of us actually saw in the flesh.
I wish Macintoshes were as easy to work on as a Lisa.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, it's really a nice demo.
Modular design was.
And then we did a lot of fixing. We had turned it into a bit of a workshop. So we did a bunch of little fix-up jobs on people's computers. In some cases as simple as replacing the light bulb in the keyboard, or a bit more advanced, like actually troubleshooting and fixing disk drives. But it was all over the place. It was a lot of fun. And let me tell you, time flies. I mean, we were there hours. Yeah. And we could have stayed there for another 12. Yeah. I mean, it's...
Yep, that's not a bad thing. Right? That's why Kansas Fest is a week long, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could... it's always amazing to me how much time we can burn in those things. But it's been a lot of fun. And... So that's it. One of my big projects here that I'm hoping to accomplish actually during this holiday break, provided that I have one, would be to actually try to clean up the room I'm in, which is my kids' old playroom, and trying to make a little bit more space for the retro equipment, because I see that everybody struggles with the same issues. We're all limited in real estate. And, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really the challenge. You're going to run out of one of two things first. You're either going to run out of money or you're going to run out of space. And which one happens first, right?
So that's about it. But otherwise, now things are going well. We're definitely looking forward to next year at the Florida Retro Computer Club. Try to come up maybe with other ideas for events and fun stuff to do.
I'm still trying to find a spot up here by me because I'm kind of in between South and Central Florida. I'm halfway through. So, looking for a good spot. What is this here? Performa.
Oh, it's it's the box Macintosh Performa. Now I think I did open this once to see how it was. It's a bit. I mean, the box looks nice. At least that's what I focus on for the most part. Because I remember Javier mentioned in one of the earlier meetings that the Performa monitors just crumble apart. And surely enough, something similar happened to me. As soon as I placed the monitor down, it seemed like it was one piece of the plastic just chipped off right in the box. But it's
wow, it's like it's got brittle or something.
It's a very brittle plastic, very brittle. I mean, it just crumbled. I'm glad it only a piece broke off, because otherwise I wouldn't have it fixed. But it's a very nice box, actually. I can't really turn it on the side here, but it's got a nice little bit. Let me see if I can rotate this sideways. It's got a nice little bit of artwork right here. Right here, and it's the 6115 CD.
Is that the one you wanted to swap, David?
Hmm?
Did you want to swap it or sell it? What was your story with that?
Yeah, I was wanting to swap it for something. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind it's the hard drive, the color definitely. This would need to be retro brighted, but the Performa monitor, I wouldn't recommend it. But it needs retro brighting. It's obviously the monitor is a little bit crumbled. If somebody can figure out a way to retro bright it without breaking it, I'm sure there's somebody who can probably do that.
Well, I've seen some people retro bright stuff without disassembling it. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not recommended, but some people do that.
Yeah. Now the hard drive is it's dead, I think, or it's just not spinning correctly, because I can hear it working, but it's not. Yeah. It's not doing its thing, but I can see it's connected and everything. But I do have an external hard drive that I could obviously supply if anybody wants to trade. I don't have anything in specific in mind, but
yeah, it's funny because speaking about retro brighting, I kind of went back and forth on that. When I started in retro computers about maybe 3 years ago now, a bit more than 3 years ago, I was very keen on retro brighting everything. Trying to give it that fresh look, that
new computer smell.
And then, two things are keeping me away from retro brighting at this point. Number one, it's very time consuming. The disassembly, the reassembly and all that, it's very time consuming. Second of all, retro brighting does not last, in the sense that you're going to retro bright something and a few months later, it will have a tendency to return to its original state. And
I got a third reason for you.
What's that?
Here's the top I retro brighted.
Potential.
And, you might notice without the badge here, that under here it's a little bit more beige than it is over here. So something happened.
You bleached it too much, so it's lighter now?
Yeah, I bleached it a little bit too much. It wasn't like this, but I had to put it out twice because it was a little bit uneven around this area here.
Well, that's fine. Did you get any streaks in it at all?
Not. It's a little bit more visible in I don't know if my camera's going to capture it here, but there's kind of a streak right around here, right on this little area. I don't know if
it's not too bad if that's the only area where you got streaking. I mean, streaking is a real potential problem with retro brighting that can really leave you with a plastic that looks worse than it started with. But,
I managed to.
It looks good. That's the one I gave you. That yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow one. It turned out pretty well.
That's the banana right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to. I still have to retro bright the case piece here because it came out a little bit messed up, but hopefully
I don't know about you guys, but I actually like computers that look like they're 30, 40 years old. I don't know why.
Yeah, I kind of like.
I like my computers like my women, weathered and aged.
I'm kind of like you now. To be honest with you, one of the things I do, I just clean them up, and I kind of take them for the way they are.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if this is. Yeah. Sorry, we'll continue.
No, but what's your takeaway from retro brighting, David? I mean, is it worth it? Is it too much work? Is it
Sometimes it's worth it, but in very minor cases, because then you can't really screw up with the streaking and all that.
Right.
I mean, for this, I would retro bright this, but I don't think it's you know, it's yellow enough to the point where I would.
Right.
Because for the most part, this is just tape here. I need to get some Goo Gone for that. But you know, some of the Macintosh Plus computers were beige anyway, so I definitely like beige color more than some of the platinum Macs and things like that. I definitely like the beige on these Apple IIs, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only beige Macs were the 128 and the 512. I think starting with the Plus, they went platinum. Plus,
I think with the Plus, they had a very early beige model, and then they cut it out pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
I think this is as late as you can get with a Macintosh Plus. If you look here, it's actually, I think this is 1989. I don't know if they produced any more of these, but this is 1989. That's why it doesn't have like the 1 megabyte marker or anything like that.
What
you know.
do you have on top of your power plug there? On the back? In the back of the...
I remember working on those. You needed a special screw to take the back off.
I thought it was a connector.
Yeah. I have a hard drive for this. Oh, it's over here. I have a hard drive that I normally use with this. It's got a few games here. Let me see if I can grab it.
I was working for an official Apple retailer place when these things came out, and you know, in order to be able to take the back off and add memory and stuff, you needed a special screw to open them up and everything.
You need one of those hex screwdriver. Number 5.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It was a fancy thing back then. Yeah, it was a long one. It was a fancy thing. Yep. Apple tried their hardest to make it where a non-Apple person could not work on it.
Yeah.
So.
It was for me, obviously, since they sell those screw bits now, it's pretty easy. Did I ever open this one? I don't think I did because I didn't need to. I think I opened my SE and my SE30, and that came pretty easily. But definitely when you get to the handle, that is hell. Because you have to get a really long screwdriver in there.
Yeah, to reach in the back.
Yeah. Technically, this was a luggable, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more luggable than some of the other computers.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea, because I was like 1989, I was working in a place in Fort Lauderdale called the Byte Shop, and this time frame, we were selling still Apple II, Apple II GS, and the Mac was out, and the Mac II was out. So we had like 4 generations of Apple products that we were selling in the store, and then we also had like an XT, an AT, so an 8088, a 286, and a 386. There was like all these generations of computers were all in the store at the same time, and that we were selling them. It was a really neat time in history where you had the kind of the changing of the guard, but people were still buying Apple IIs at the same time they were buying Macs. And I forgot what the software was, but we had software. As a matter of fact, I remember selling a hard drive for the Apple IIc that plugged into the back on the serial port or parallel port on the back, but it was a hard drive that plugged into that. And they used to have like a piece of software that was kind of like a DeskMate type program where it had like a word processor. It was like the Microsoft Works multi-application suite. Does anybody remember what that was called on the Apple II? Yeah. Apple Works, maybe? Was that what it's called? Or
Works? Yet.
It was an Apple product, but I remember selling like old Apple IIc computers. I sold one with an external hard drive, and it had this really cool software that...
I actually may have... I can't even have the flop.
Got the floppies ready.
Yeah, I would remember it. Apple Works. No, it's Apple Works.
Apple Works. It was called Apple Works, yeah. And that was like their version of Microsoft Works, right? Apple Works, Microsoft. So you had like your spreadsheet, your word processor, but it was kind of semi-GUI based. So it was a poor man's Mac environment for the Apple II.
Yeah, this is it right here.
Yeah. I remember using that software, and there was a time where like the Apple II GS had like an Apple Works type GUI based desktop. Yeah. That look similar to the Mac.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you're a consumer, you don't know the difference, and why shouldn't I buy an Apple II that's compatible with Apple II software? This Mac is not compatible. If anything, it was a really confusing time as these new generations were coexisting, what to buy and how to sell this kind of stuff. But I was really lucky because it was an authorized Apple dealer, so I got to learn a lot. I worked on Macs from day one. So even though I was a PC guy, I was selling Macs and working on repairing and upgrading Macs when they were brand new machines. I remember selling a Macintosh 2 system. So it was a Mac 2 with the color monitor, and the Apple Writer laser printer. So it was a whole desktop publishing system. And when I tell you this was like, I don't remember. I want to say I don't remember the sale. It was
thousands.
Thousands. I don't remember if it was like 10,000.
Probably was, yeah,
or something. You know, it was an insane. I mean, the commission I got on that sale was insane. But it was just, and actually it was a young couple and their friends that they just wanted to start their own publishing business, you know. So they bought this to like set up a business with this Apple II. And what I loved about it was you could hold up a piece of paper to the screen and the dots were perfect. So when, you know, like the WYSIWYG layout, this screen, you could hold up two pieces of paper side by side and it was exactly the same. Like the light coming through the monitor, the dots per inch on the screen matched the page perfectly. Wow. You know, so it was a really cool system running like PageMaker and things like that. You know, so
no, my only contact with Apples in the 80s was we had this small store in my hometown in Belgium, and they little Apple store, and they had 2 C's and 2 E's, and the owners would let you kind of play on them a little bit. You know, they were not a potential buyer, but they did give you a little screen time. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's kind of cool. We just had somebody join us for a second. It said Cord.
Yeah.
Something.
Here we go. Check this out. I have this In Business with Macintosh tape here.
Look at that.
Multiple what-if situations that really help me improve the design.
So this has the original Mac, and then the portable, and then the Mac 2 in here.
Like a saw or a hammer.
Is that like Chuck Norris's younger brother?
He had a beard back then.
Yeah, look at that.
So this is pretty interesting. Actually, what's kind of funny is that one of the companies mentioned in this, and here we go, Realty World. Actually, that's where my dad works. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that is mentioned in this tape here. So,
hey, Jake just joined us. Hey, Jake.
Jake.
Hi, Jake.
So this is pretty nice to look at for a good while. It's got a lot of transitions.
Yeah, that's
a presentation guy.
Yeah, that's a vintage commercial for a vintage computer. Should bring that to the club.
Historian, David. You're really exploring all dimensions here. That's great.
You're making us old guys look like we're underachievers, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty happy with this tape. I got this for I got all this stuff. I got a few power books, and I got a few power books for $100, including all these magazines that talk about Steve Jobs, how he's going to save Apple. That one Apple console, the Bandai Tippin one. And then here's one about the Mac TV. Here is an ad for the iMac, the graphite one when they just announced it. And then the iMac here. I still have the box for this because I don't think it was played because this was sealed when I got it. It's really nice, and it's really cool to watch this. They go into it. My tape player doesn't want to rewind this correctly for some reason because it starts off with a lady and how she works with with like the Macintosh portable. I'm sorry, just the all-in-ones, not the portables, because I know that was an actual brand. But yeah, see, like these ones here. And so she starts talking about that, but I can't get that to play on here, which kind of sucks. I only got it to play once. It just doesn't recognize that there's more to the tape than what is on here.
Yeah.
But
maybe your tape needs retro branding.
It's peroxide on it. See what happens. Do not put it back in your VCR.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a pretty cool tape to watch. I watched it like 2 or 3 times, I think, at this point.
It's amazing what you get nostalgic for. Even VHS is nostalgic. Now, I actually the other day I busted out. All my old DVDs I put like in a zipper thing, like those little zipper suitcases that you carry your CDs and stuff in. So, because I have not watched a movie off a plastic disc in like 5 years, so I got nostalgic for my DVDs the other day, and I just busted out my little suitcase of discs and was watching some.
If you really want to date yourself, you should have one of those briefcases of audio tapes.
Yes. Yeah, I had them. I had the suitcase full of cassettes at one point in time. Yeah, that was cool.
They had like a pleather finish and the plastic inserts that hold all the cassette cases.
Oh yeah, pleather on the outside, like the tan pleather with the little plastic.
The little snap things that go on the front of the briefcase. Get some brass.
Yep.
Brass on
Oh yeah, walk around with your tapes, man.
Yeah. Oh,
this guy here in the sweater, he's a sophisticated senior who uses Macs.
He leads you through the whole tape.
Yeah.
Speaking of cassettes,
one of my favorite shows that a lot of them are
this is my first cassette player recorder from when I was a kid.
Oh,
probably Mark 4 or 5 when I got it. Still working.
Panasonic.
Very cool.
David, by the way,
hey,
I was
lost
using
Jake
this to dub Commodore software onto cassette to test my C2N with.
Yeah.
And I was doing it off of my Android phone into the mic.
This Walkman laying around here.
The tricky part is getting the volume low enough. Otherwise, it distorts and because the inputs on these are mic level, and you could probably build like a little buffer circuit to take the VUs down even more, but I found that just putting the phone on the lowest volume setting and doing a mono playback, I was able to get usable tapes.
You make me think that maybe what I was doing wrong with the C2N and the PET is maybe play the audio too loud from the Mac.
Yeah.
Maybe
I did the first test I did a playback of the tape on a audio cassette deck and captured it into Audacity, and you could just tell like everything was hard clipped. So I knew the level was way too high. So I turned the level on my phone down as low as it would go and did another test, and there was a little bit of clipping, but not too much to make it unusable.
I'll try that. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, even with real cassettes, you really had to find the right volume, and it seemed to vary from tape to tape and from deck to deck. There was no universal volume.
Yeah, one of my biggest nightmares with transferring data on here is definitely some of my floppy disks have gotten messed up, and I've had to wipe them and redo them again and format them because my audio was too loud or too low. I discovered that the top volume on my phone is perfect for transferring data. So.
That's a nice retrobrighted system there, David.
Oh,
that's not.
Yeah, it's actually not retrobrighted.
It's not at all.
Nope.
No, that's garage kept.
It was never exposed to like a window or anything. So.
No.
Jeez. Very nice.
It's really nice. I really enjoy this. Now, this NumberPad is the only thing that actually got somewhat yellow here, but everything else is in really good condition. It came with a lot of cards. I think there's a serial card in there, memory expansion, and a few more things. I wanted to bring this to the club meeting, but I'm always scared of bringing this because it's never been used for the most part. Of course, I'm using it now, but it's. Let me see if I can open this up so I can demonstrate why this is so nice. I'll just, you can.
It's really wild.
This is gonna take me a while, so. Let me see. I also have all the original documentation, even the check that came with it.
Did you know the person that owned this, or was it just a?
Oh no, it was just a buy. Basically, a guy listed this for sale. As basically pretty much brand new. I mean, this really has never been used. But what happened was, see, we offered him around 300. I want to say 300, and we got it right away because the guy was terrified. Apparently, he said all these people like nonstop. He was getting messages about people who wanted to buy it. Just because he just said he had to accept our offer because he didn't want to deal with anybody else.
Yeah.
But in here I've got, let me see, a serial port. There's a mouse card in here.
Yeah,
the mouse interface. It's got trying to see, memory expansion. I think it does.
It's not for memory expansion for sure.
Yeah, this is a really nice computer. I mean, let me see if I can. I'm just gonna turn this on. I've been having troubles with my 2E color monitor here lately. I think you might be able to see this when I turn it on. Oh, it's not doing that today. But normally what happens is when I turn on the video, it like lifts upwards and then gets onto the center. And I've tried everything, with vertical hold, but sometimes I think I can demonstrate this. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. If I turn this off and turn it on really quickly. Oh, wow. Okay. This is a lot better than it was like 2 days ago. So,
you fixed it.
And here the door is still attached. Better not break it this time, but let me see if I can carefully take this off here. Here we go. And I definitely like the little monochrome.
Ah, look at that, huh?
Yeah. I definitely like.
I gotta say, for that bit, that's a composite monitor.
Yes, it's a composite monitor.
That's pretty crisp.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
Yeah, it's really crisp when you turn it to monochrome here. But when you get to
that's because you're used to the CoCo looking so shitty in composite. The CoCo looks horrible.
Oh, Stevie, defense.
Don't be dissing my CoCo now. I'll hit the hang up button on you, son.
It's like
Somebody was asking earlier if you're, because they saw your CM8 monitor, David, and they said, do you still have the door on it? And that thing was new in the box when you bought it, right?
Pretty much. Well, I think the guy dumped the boxes by the time
David,
he opened it. Oh.
David L. had a CoCo color monitor right in the box, and yeah, and that one was new in the box.
Yeah.
Even the box looks deep.
So it has the door. Yeah. Because the CM8 monitors, they're notorious for losing their doors. So when people buy them now used, always the question is does it have the door? So that was cool that David R's Apple has the door too.
Yeah, that one that David R has is notorious also for missing its door. It's actually very brittle.
Yeah.
The hinges are made out of plastic.
Yep, little clippies.
Yikes.
Yeah.
They break like glass. Oh, that's good stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad we got together tonight. I mean, for a while there, I was thinking I was being hung out to dry, man. I'm sitting here with the crickets. And David Rosa was the first one to join me, so.
No, I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, that's fine. This was technically just meant to be a test, and then we started talking, and we were like, hey, you want to record this in case, some people in the club can't make it? And yeah, we could record it. I'm like, well, I could stream it, and so we just decided to stream it so anybody in the club can watch it later too.
Good fun for a Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so like Saturdays for me are kind of occupied because I do CoCo Talk in the afternoon, and then sometimes in the evening we do an After Dark, which is kind of a hybrid show. It's kind of more open. We talk about just about anything. But I think it would be nice if we do our own little Florida retro gatherings where it's just, the people of the club get together and talk about their systems and things like that. I don't really have anything new to show, but some of you guys maybe have never seen like all of my stuff. If you want, I can try to turn on the light and move the camera around and show you some of the crap I have behind me here or something. Hold on, headphones are pulling off my head. Does that light work? Yeah. All right. So,
you got Pandora's box down there?
I don't know if I should
turn this light on or off.
And hold on one second. I think for the stream, I'm going to try to make myself big for the stream. I'm not sure what you guys are going to be able to see. I'm not sure how loud my voice is going to be.
Audio is great from wherever you are in the room.
All right. So right here, this is a little
on, so you can't hear us.
TV stand. Yeah. That has a CoCo 3 on the top and a white CoCo 1 on the middle shelf.
What a horrible time for my phone to die.
What's
David's phone dying.
That's why I cut off here. Where did we leave off? Where were we talking about? The door on my color monitor?
No, Steve just offered all this system for free for $5. You lost it.
Yeah. So I also have a CM8 with the door. And so now I have I think the only thing that doesn't turn on automatically. Okay, so this is a little, my friend Johnny gave me this TV. This is like a little 13-inch color TV that's like exactly the same size as a CM8.
Very nice.
So these guys fit side by side. I actually started collecting these little TV stands because these are hard to find. I'm getting these things on the Facebook Marketplace. So I got a couple of these guys. It's got the glass shelves. So it's got 3 shelves. This is a CoCo 3, fully loaded. This is the white CoCo 2 64K with a nicer keyboard. The CoCo 2 is connected to the screen on the right. So I'm not sure. Let's see if I can move the camera itself. What you guys can see here. All right, so here's my shelves behind me.
That is a cool room.
So I've got a TI up there. I've got a Tano Dragon in the box. I've never opened that one up yet. That's the European version of the color computer. I got a couple of ColecoVision systems. Let me see what else I can get on the camera here. Move the microphone. I'm not sure what you guys can see. Are you still playing that damn Apple video?
yeah. You can hear it, can't you?
Yeah.
He's just talking in the background.
I see your.
I got a couple of
a vertical stand that has like 3/4 on it.
I've actually got 2 of these, right? So they're kind of random, but when I get them, I like to buy them. So these are the old school like TV stereo cabinet things, where you put your TV on top and have your components.
The hi-fi towers.
So, hi-fi towers. So I got the one on this side here has like a 20-inch glass TV, but that TV we had probably around 2005. It's one of the last generation glass TVs. I got it at Best Buy, but it's flat, so it's a very sharp picture, but it still has like S-video and composite and a lot of inputs. On this little tower here, I have on the bottom, I actually have an MSX computer that Michael Brandt gave me. He's one of our Central Florida guys. That's a ColecoVision. That's an Atari 7800. The top shelf is the Sears Telegames, which is like a Light Sixer Atari 2600 system. Over here in this other tower, I'm not sure how good I can get the camera, but top shelf has a Sega Saturn, which was my second favorite console next to the Genesis.
Wow, you know what? I almost got a Japanese Sega Saturn new in the box, but I skipped a day and I missed out on it.
Yeah, and then underneath there is a Intellivision, which I haven't messed with yet, but I got the Intellivision and the speech cartridge for it, the speech synthesizer. It was a combo. But I have no software to test it with, and so it's just kind of sitting there to play with one day. And then back here is like my tower of CoCo stuff, just random CoCo things. But I've got floppy drives, I've got cassette players, I've got joysticks new in box, I've got some cartridges, some of them sealed. I got a few CoCos in the box, floppy drives, all kinds of crap.
What a collection.
Manuals.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's been my little eBay. And a couple things. Let me see if I can grab something here real quick. Oh shit! So here's the problem with this light here, though. This light is a kind of wonky light, which is why I don't use it. Where the hell did my remote go? God damn it! Can't find the frickin' remote for the light. Anyway, so I'll turn the other light on. What was I going to show you? I don't even remember. Hold on. Here's the clicker for the light. I don't even know, man. I don't even know what to show you, honestly. I got so much crap here.
Where to begin?
All kinds of books and crap.
If you had a big hurricane, you can only carry one out, Steve. Which one do you take?
Oh, if the place is burning down?
You can only take what you can carry. What do you grab?
Fuck it. They're all going to hell. Oh, here's something kind of cool. This is actually one of my originals. This is the old ColecoVision. You know, so it took some 4C batteries and it was like an LED-based Pac-Man game. I don't have very many of my original things from back in the day, but this is one of them. I got a bunch of Atari 8-bit cartridges and ColecoVision cartridges. A bunch of those. Random crap. A couple more like old from back in the day. These are originals. These are my Tron action figures from Tommy Toys with the glow-in-the-dark Frisbee discs. But yeah, almost everything I have now it's all eBay reacquisition type stuff. I got a few things down here too I haven't really messed with yet. I have the X Arcade trackball joystick doohickey. I do have an Atari 800 XL, which I haven't messed with. I don't have any cords for this, so I don't even know how to plug it in yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got an Atari ST that I haven't messed with yet either.
You know, so I don't know if anybody.
So this is a 520 ST.
Florida public school system, but so I went.
I think I got too much.
I went through Hillsborough County public schools and in elementary
hold on
school,
1 second. Too much light.
The Atari 800 XL was our classroom computer, And then in 7th grade, we had Atari STs as our classroom computers.
So that's kind of my crap back here. And then I'll show you my workhorse, which is the computer I use to do most of my work on. My working CoCo, which is, where's my camera? I was going to turn this camera around. But the CoCo 3 that I use every day is right here under the computer screen that we're looking at now. Right? So infinity. So this is my CoCo 3. I got a CoCo SDC plugged into it. I have the switcheroo cable, so it's plugged into the HDMI to SCART adapter. So here's the actual switcheroo cable here. I don't know how many of you guys have a switcheroo, but that converts RGB to SCART, and then you plug in your SCART to HDMI. So
very cool.
But I've managed to get a handful. I just dropped my frickin' camera. But yeah, I've managed to get a handful of other systems that I've never owned before, but I don't know anything about them. And they're all just kind of just sitting around waiting for me to discover them. Yeah, how do I take myself off of full screen now?
Yeah,
There's just a little bit
there we go.
of badges I have.
There. Here we go.
Oh, that's cool. You got a lot of Mac stuff.
Yeah, I mostly just collect Apple, manual and history stuff because I think it's really cool. I think there's a lot more of it than anything else. Also, I got this little Atari bag, which I think is pretty cool.
What's that? An Atari bag.
Yeah, it's
plenty of stuff, David.
Yeah, I never owned anything Atari back in the day. We had a ColecoVision. And we had the Atari module for that let it play 2,600 games. So I ended up having a few Atari games, but I never owned an Atari system. So the first Atari system I got on eBay, which I have played, is the Atari 7800, because it's completely compatible with all the 2,600 games. So I do have a working 7800, and I got a bunch of 2,600 and 7800 cartridges that I have played on, and they're pretty fun.
For me, actually, that was my first console, was the Atari 2600.
Same here.
I own one of those, but
1983 or two was our family got the VCS, and I played the crap out of that thing until I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, my VCS is busted. It was working fine for about a day, and then just completely went crazy.
Yeah, but I think they're actually pretty. I think some of the old Atari stuff is pretty easy to fix because it's really low tech.
Yeah.
As far as the parts that are on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get around to fixing mine someday. I actually could have been.
Yeah.
I had a bad surge protector, and it wasn't providing proper power, and it was doing all sorts of stuff to my electronics. So that might have actually been the reason as to why it started acting up.
Not just failed; it's taking down your gear.
So speaking of magazines, I'll show you one I think I have up here.
Hey guys, I need to roll. I will catch up with you guys later.
Good night, David.
Thanks for sending this up. See you guys.
Here's Quicken. I actually have this installed on my iMac.
So I actually have a couple too. So before, these were like strategy guides, right, for the old console games.
Oh, yeah.
So this is my strategy guide to Street Fighter Alpha, because I had this on the Sega Saturn.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I was a big fan.
I have Street Fighter Alpha 2 on my XP laptop, because I think they made it for 98.
So, yeah, I also collect comic books, so I got these in like comic book bags just to kind of keep them safe. I've got the strategy guide for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I think I had this on the Sega Saturn too. So I got that. I think I've got a handful of strategy guides for the old Lucas games like Jedi Knight or Jedi Knight 2 or Dark Knight, whatever the hell those games were called. So I got a bunch of the old Lucas Arts games. Those are like actually thicker books, like paperback books. So they're kind of like the strategy guides and how to play the games and stuff like that. So I got some of those. Those are original.
Oh, this is,
but that's like
this is reminding me of something that happened to me. I almost got a ton of arcade cabinets, Street Fighter 2 specifically, and Mortal Kombat. I think. And there's also X-Men versus Street Fighter in there. Now I still might be getting those. But what happened was, the deal was great, and then went to hell, because what happened was the deal was fine. Now it's not the seller's fault, but basically he was about to sell it to me, and then he looked inside the cabinet to move it around and take it out so that I could pick it up somewhere during the summer, and he turns it around, and it is totally eaten by termites, like on the inside, and they're all stored in the same place. So all of his arcade cabinets are eaten by termites. And it's
what a shame.
Yeah. Now it's not too damaged. It seems those termites were new. So he could, I could probably bring it out in somewhere in like an unimportant place, not in my house, and bug bomb the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking of doing. But as I thought that was a good solution to it, but the guy just disappeared on me. It seems that I've talked to a few friends of his, but nobody knows where he went. I guess they just said he was going on a vacation, but nobody knows where he went. So I'm actually gonna meet up with the guy tomorrow. Hopefully, if he's even there. I'm hoping he is, because
hope he's not sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because the guy nobody knows where he is, and
oh wow,
or at least not that I've talked to.
Honestly, if the wood's not salvageable, if the electronics are good.
Oh yeah, because you can always reproduce the cabinets and the labels and decals and everything.
If the litho art's getting eaten through, that's probably a goner. But salvaging electronics.
But those old CRTs are hard to get now too. The old arcade.
And when you get them, they're expensive.
This guy used to be a technician, and he had a field day with these arcade cabinets. He said one of them lit on fire. I think he said I can't remember what cab it was. He said one of his cabinets lit on fire, and the CRT just burst into flames. He said,
"That's part of the
somebody suggesting that maybe the termites ate the guy here." So it's Ken.
See if you can salvage them. I don't know if you have room to store them, but you
I used to have
cabinets out of MDF and reuse what you can and get stuff professionally printed for.
Yeah, I used to be kind of a big arcade collector. I used to have a Dynamo HS. I don't remember what number it was. HS6. This is kind of it's called the Dynamo Big Boy, and for good reason, because it weighed about 600 pounds. Sorry, no, that's a bit excessive. It weighed 400 pounds. It was pretty bad to carry into the house, and also to carry out. But I had it for a good long while. I also custom printed all the artwork for it because it was too big to fit standard. Like Street Fighter artwork and things like that. It was a conversion cabinet because I think it was turned into Street Fighter, but it used to be a Crime Fighters, and somebody just painted over all of it, and it just got converted into this mess. It got turned from. Let me see. I know who was it that mentioned? Was it Vince that mentioned? I don't remember, but I think there was something about. Basically, I know a guy. I think his name is Robert, and he supplies a kit for for marquees, like arcade marquees. But the one I got, I don't know if this was like, it just was not like very professional. I guess he provided the kit, but it was printed out of pieces of paper, just your standard pieces of paper. So I actually had to make my own marquee and everything for it. So that's how I kind of got into fixing it, and then I sold it because it was huge. But that's when I found all these arcade machines, and I got, hopefully some pretty great deals on them if I get this guy to, if he can actually show up, because it seems like he's been taking a ton of vacation days.
Yeah, that was kind of a wish list item of me for the longest time, is to have like maybe an arcade cabinet or like a multicade or even a MAME cabinet or something, because they take up so much space. I mean, you want to talk about having space just to collect retro computer systems. These freaking cabinets are huge.
I love the Atari cabinets. I love some of the Capcom games. Like I love Final Fight. That's kind of one of my dream cabinets, and Street Fighter Alpha actually.
Yeah, I used to play the hell out of the Street Fighter games when they were in the
Yeah,
arcades.
I actually used to go to an arcade in a summer camp, and they had Street Fighter 2, and I used to play it all the time, and that's why I'm so into it.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. Well, this was good, man. This was good. We should do this. We definitely are going to do this more often, right? Yeah. So this was kind of like our test drive, and just to get some people together. Because listen, nothing beats meeting in person. Because I've been to a few meetings. It's great guys to hang out with. It's a great way to spend a day and see a bunch of cool systems. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Our other Commodore guy.
Lewis?
I'm completely drawing a blank. Not Lewis, but...
we got Jim that's into Amigas.
Jim Farley. Jim Farley, yeah. So Jim, who, by the way, gave me a cool floppy drive. Thank you, Jim. He gave me a 5 1/4-inch floppy drive I needed to try to format some old MS-DOS discs. But, yeah, last time I was down in Pompano, Jim had brought in like an old Xenix system, an old... Xenix 8-inch floppies that ran like CPM or something like that, so it was a really, really interesting thing that you don't see every day. And have you guys met Vince? If you've been down to Pompano? So Vince likes a bunch of old arcade consoles. He had a Magnavox Odyssey and Odyssey 2. So it's really neat to get together in person and meet people who have the same interests that we do and see the system. So in a perfect world, we would get together more often, but we can't always do that. So this might be a good, a good way to kind of still do a little bit of a show and tell, and just to get to, like, I'm glad I got to meet you guys because I never met either one of y'all before. My system that I grew up with was the Color Computer. That's kind of all I know. I never owned any other systems. I knew they existed. I never owned them or used them. Some of them are on my wish list. I would love to have a C64 just to have it, I do have an Atari 8-bit if I could get the cords for it. I met Jake. Jake Allen was there. He's in the live chat right now. I met Jake at the one in Pompano. Jake had had the Commodore with the screen built into it. What's that one called?
SX64.
Okay, yeah, he had that, and he had a TRS-80 Model 3, I think, with a green screen, and and Cord Kosler. I'm still trying to find time one of these days to get to the meeting. Yeah, you were on the call for a minute there, Cord. I don't know what happened to you, but yeah. So anyway, so if we can't meet in person, this might be a good thing to do. To meet, I don't know how often we'll do it. Still, maybe once a month or something. I don't know. I mean, if we have something to talk about, we could meet every week. I don't care. It doesn't cost anything, right? We got, we did get a good chance to move the cameras around and see what we had to show and share and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Nothing beats getting your hands on the machine, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna really just a couple of things came up and I couldn't make a couple meetings down south, but I'm hoping to make some more. But it was cool because I've only been in this hobby like maybe 3 years, and I've been to a few CoCo fests, but I've had to fly to Chicago to meet people to geek out with. So the fact that I can drive for like maybe 2 hours and geek out, it's cheaper and quicker and easier than flying to Chicago, So like our little Florida retro clubs are kind of like a little mini VCF, type thing,
David and Stuart, you got some other David Laffanese, you got some CoCo people in the club.
Yeah, I love this.
And Javier.
CoCo 3.
Yeah, well, see, I came to one meeting that Vince had hosted, and I brought a whole CoCo 3 setup, and I showed everybody. So I got everybody bit with the CoCo bug. So yeah, David got one, Vince got one. I think I think Jake Allen probably got into one. So
I love those CoCos. I think they're very cool.
Yeah, but that's the machine I grew up with, So that for me, like I was trying to ask you, young David, like what was your first computer? Because your first computer was a Dell Windows XP machine, which is cool, and hopefully you'll remember that, and maybe another 20 years from now, maybe you'll still keep one. You'll be smart now to not throw things away like we all did before. I think every one of us regrets the things that we threw away because it's like. Think about it. Think of how many smartphones we've thrown away because every 2 years a new phone comes out, or every year a new phone comes out. But honestly, I wish I still had like my Motorola brick phone. I wish I still had my little Nokia phone with the black and white screen and the snake game on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all the stupid things you do. You just throw crap away because it's old. It's like yesterday's trash. But yesterday's trash becomes something that you're nostalgic for at some point in your life.
Yeah, and
you know?
if you have kept anything, when you go back and you get that stuff out of the closet or out of the garage, and you like look at the stuff you did keep, you're like, man, this is fun now. I wish I had kept it all. What did I do?
It's like it's a time capsule, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little. So I don't have a lot of old vintage stuff. I'm not sure what the word is. So is pack rat, hoarder, or collector? I'm not sure which one really applies. But even since a kid, like I collected comic books and Mad magazines and stuff. So I've always had like comic books that I kept in the bag. I've got boxes of old magazines still in my garage, like all sealed up in the bags and everything. So I've been collecting for a long time, or pack ratting or hoarding, whatever you want to call it. And so even as a kid, I was into collector's items. I was into comic books. Like this is the first edition. I had to save this because it's going to be a collector's item. So there was things I was smart enough to keep. But when it came to electronics, for whatever reason, we just got in our head that, oh, this is old crap, throw it away. I wish I had my old battery-operated like Mattel football where you had like the little LED light and you pressed the 4 buttons to move it across to run the touchdowns and stuff. I wish I had all those old things, So, it's kind of cool that you're in a position now, David, where you not only do you have some old stuff, but maybe you'll start to say now, hey, I'm not going to throw away my new stuff because one day I'm going to want to, look back and be nostalgic for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've kept a lot of my stuff over the years. Now, some of my stuff, like my Dell computer, actually did end up getting thrown away, like by my mom. So that kind of sucks. But I have seen a million of them since. I guess they were a really common model. They are kind of a black and a gray and a silver. So somewhere in there.
Speaking of which, was it you who said you were trying to get one of every version of Windows running on a machine?
No.
Or was that okay? That was Mark. Yeah. Okay.
This just figured I'd mention this. This is my new Mission Impossible poster. It's Apple branded. So I just got this. This was never actually used in stores. It was still in the little packet that it came in, and so it's pretty cool. This is from 1996. I also have I have a hat to go with it. I don't know where I put it. Oh, it's over here. Here's a little hat that went with. This was like a full set thing. Here's a little hat that went with it.
I got some swag there, huh?
Yeah. And then there was also, this is more of just like a generic shirt, but I do have a little shirt in here. So that's.
Oh, neat, yeah. You know what I actually have somewhere in a book? I took a couple courses with Apple and got some certifications printed with my name on them and stuff. So I'm technically Apple certified from back in the day, and it has the old rainbow-colored Apple logo on it and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I still have this little luggage label here.
Yeah, the old rainbow-colored Apple logo is so iconic from...
Yeah, I think they did experiment with bringing that back, and then they just kind of cut out of it at some point. With like an iPad presentation, I think it was. They were going to start with that, and then they just completely stopped. Sucks. Would have been nice to seen that. Would have been nice to have seen that come back, but I think it was a pretty.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like you turn on your Mac, and instead of it being the black Apple on the white background, you actually had the rainbow Mac turn on.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think one of the cooler things that this reminds me of is I was trying to set up my Performa. My boot discs are bad. Because I had a copy of System 7, but it did not want to work with me because Disk 5 was bad, which sucks. I don't remember where it came from, but Disk 5 was bad, and that really sucks for me because, I had spent about 30 minutes getting these discs set up, but it was really cool because when I first set up, I think it was Disk 1 or whatever it was, it presented me with this big, welcome to System 7, setup kind of thing, and it was really cool because it had this gigantic Apple logo, this gigantic rainbow Apple logo, and it was really nice to look at. Very cool, and yeah. I had a lot of fun trying to set up a Performa monitor without the computer to monitor plug. I guess that just wasn't included, and so I found out the weirdest way to turn it on because it doesn't really have a proper power switch. When you turn it on, it just goes to standby. that was something I really just didn't like about the Performa monitors. But apparently, if I open up the discs, like the little disc slot and the disc tray, and then close it, for some reason, that turns the Performa monitor on.
That's a good one.
So
I'll remember that.
That was my way of turning it on for quite a while, and I still have no other way to turn it on, but it's pretty helpful sometimes. It helped me test out all my 2SI and my LC2, and those.
What is the actual connector on that? Is it composite or is it something else, like an
totally
RGB
different.
connector?
It's like a proprietary Apple port. It's
like the 13W3 or whatever that it's called.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it was that one. I actually haven't checked in a while, but definitely it was very proprietary.
When is the next Florida Club meeting, and where is it going to be at?
Have we set that up yet? I don't know. Let me just put on.
That'd be good to get out. And it's like I want to bring something. So I have 2 acquisitions I've paid for that I've not taken possession of yet because they're out of state. I got them both in like Chicago. So I've got an Apple IIc with a green screen monitor. Composite.
Yeah, I love
that. I bought that in at CoCo Fest in April of this year, and I don't have it yet because I flew there and I couldn't bring it home. And then I also bought a Tandy 1000 system with a color monitor and a hard drive. That was my second Tandy computer. So after I went through a series of color computers to CoCo's, my first PC was a Tandy 1000. So I have a Tandy 1000 system too with the color monitor and a hard drive, and it has all the floppies and all the little books and binders to put the floppies in and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting that, but I'm going to have to drive to Chicago to get it because I need to drive it home because it's too big. I don't want to ship it, and it's too big to put on a plane, So it's one of those things. I've been trying to get back up there to the Midwest, and just the timing and the finances haven't worked where I could go up there to get my stuff. So it might have to be until CoCo Fest next year, which is in May, before if I can afford to, I'll drive to CoCo Fest next year, and that way I can bring my stuff home I bought this year. So and I'm not going to have. I don't have room.
That's delayed gratification if I ever heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I got nowhere to put the damn things, because these are even the Apple IIc with its little monitor. You've seen my little room here. I got no more, and this is the only place my wife lets me keep my shit. So it's like, where am I going to put anything?
Those PCs are pretty big, actually, even for being portable.
Yeah, and the Tandy 1000's got it's got like an 11-inch CRT monitor that's going to sit on top of it. It's like a sideways. It's like the XT size case. Maybe not quite as wide, but it's like an XT desktop, not the tower. It's got a floppy and a hard drive and stuff. So I get to find room for that's going to be a challenge. So, but I'm nostalgic for that Tandy 1000. That was my second generation computer. My first generation was the color computer lines, and then I got into that. So
yeah.
Maybe one of these days when I get it, I can bring them down to a club meeting. Show off a Tandy 1000 because I'm not sure if anybody's brought one of those to a club meeting.
I haven't seen one.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were neat.
Yeah.
They were neat.
I have a bit of an off-topic question here. This is kind of random, but how much would you guys value a 2001 Commodore PET model? Like the early blue one, but really beat up.
I don't know. I don't know what they're worth.
Yeah, I know it's pretty random. I don't know what they're worth either because I haven't seen any of them on any sort of sales site or anything like that. At least.
I would ask Vince, probably Vince and David Lafanus. They might give you some information on there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't really been watching those, but when I started getting into buying color computers, I kind of got a feel for what was out there and what they were selling for and stuff like that. So Color Computer 2s, I was getting those at $50 a pop, some of them in the box with accessories and stuff. So it was that's why I have so much crap sometimes too. Is sometimes I would buy a whole computer just because it came with a stack of books and a cassette player and cables and a dust cover and a bunch of other random crap that I'm like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have all those little crappy side dish items, but I'm getting a computer with it.
I have
so
quite a few Vic modems.
I bought a lot of bundles on eBay just because it was a good combination of books and manuals and cables and peripherals.
That's how I got a lot of my peripherals.
Yeah. So that's your best deal if you can buy the whole combo package where you get a bunch of stuff, because when you buy it piecemeal, you pay a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
I got a computer. My first CoCo I bought, I think it was $99. but it was a 64K CoCo 2. It came with a flat screen TV, and it had a cassette player with the cables, and I think a couple of joysticks. And the whole thing was $99. Now, people are selling the cassette players for $60. People are selling CoCo 2s for $60 and up. And there's a flat screen TV that even has like a DVD that you can stick into the side of it. And I bring that with me. When I come to the retro shows, I bring that little TV because it's got an S video input and it's got composite. So I can hook up my CoCo 2 to it I've got a RGB to S video adapter. Or I could hook up a CoCo 1 through RF, or I could hook up something else through composite. So even though it's a flat screen, it's still like the square ratio, and it's real light and easy to carry. And so it's a good retro display to bring with you. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Stuart just joined us.
Oh, hey.
Stuart the Solder King. He just joined us. He said hi.
Hey,
so
Stuart.
I think we're wrapping it up though, Stuart. Yeah. So we need to plan this again and plan it a little better and get more people to buy in. But the whole purpose of doing this too is to get everybody to figure out how to sign into Zoom, which isn't that hard to do. But yeah, we can do more tests over the weekend if you want. Throw out some feelers in the group, and we get some, that link I sent you guys. Anybody can join that link at any time, so you can just jump on it randomly to make sure that you can connect. Jake says that's how I ended up with 7 TLS eBay bundles. Yeah. So yeah, I've bought sometimes a bunch of crap I didn't want just to get one thing I did want, so but it seems like David's getting all the deals now.
Yeah.
He's become a pro shopper. That's awesome. All right, well, I guess we can wrap it up, right? We're kind of done. It was great meeting you guys. I hope to meet y'all in person.
Yeah.
My knowledge is very limited to one computer system, but I like learning about everybody else's systems. So, and whatever you need to know about the color computer, I'll be happy to share with you what I do know about it.
Looking forward to it.
So, yeah, cool. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night, and if we want to try to do this again, maybe I don't know later in the weekend, maybe we can try to do it again tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right, man. Take care, everybody.
You too. Good to see you.
And thanks to everybody who was watching at home, too. Sorry, we weren't really paying attention to the live chat too much. We're sitting here talking, but thanks y'all who were watching it live. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.